BJP.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Anusha Soni. The exit poll results for all the 5 states of the big 2023 Assembly election battle. The states of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Telangana, Chhattisgarh and Mizoram are out. And the prediction of the 2 states in favor of the BJP, that's something I'm sure BJP will cherish. Pollsters also indicate that BJP will be in the lead in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, while it suggests that Congress party might remain in power in the state of Chhattisgarh. Projections further suggest that the Congress might be dethroning BRS in Telangana for the first time ever since the formation of the state. As Madhya Pradesh and Telangana are seeing neck-to-neck fights, there is a sense of unease in the Congress camp. While the Congress party will try to prevent a 2018 rerun in Madhya Pradesh and keep its MLAs together if the numbers are too close and if it's a neck-to-neck fight, according to the party sources, Congress is keeping a close tab on all of its MLAs in Madhya Pradesh. And of course, they would want to ensure that the mistakes that were done last time are not repeated this time. The Congress party maintains that it's confident of a clean sweep in Telangana. But talks are on with the party for Plan B as well. Other parties, other political parties, they might need an alliance partner if the win is on a margin, if it's on a thin margin. MLAs are likely to be kept safe. I mean, the resort politics in this country is something which is an unfortunate yet an accepted reality. Karnataka Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar has denied these claims, but the final results for the 5 assembly elections to Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Telangana, Chhattisgarh and Mizoram to be declared on Sunday, December 3. That's the big day, and that will clearly be the semi-final before the 2024 final clash. Will it be an equalizer this Sunday, or will BJP have an edge over the others? Before we take that question to our guests, let's take a look at the multi-poll predictions of the various states and the key takeaways of those predictions. What exactly does it mean? One by one. Let's first talk about the state of Madhya Pradesh, the much anticipated fight between the BJP and the Congress. It has always been a 2-party state between the Congress and the BJP. Axis My India giving a clean sweep to the BJP here in Madhya Pradesh. It was said that Kamal Nath will this time form the government. There's a strong anti-incumbency against Shivraj Singh Chauhan. The fact that there is no chief minister phase that was projected is a problem for Madhya Pradesh. But if you look at these 2 polls, Axis My India and the CNX, even ETG, most of them seem to give a clear edge to the BJP. None of the polls for Madhya Pradesh have given that kind of lead. I mean, it's a neck-to-neck fight in 2, and here you can see a marginal lead. So either it's a clean sweep for the BJP, they will clear, very comfortably form the government, or it will be a neck-to-neck fight. But none of the pollsters are saying that it will be in some way a clean sweep for the BJP, for the Congress party. And the other parties will play a small role. But one thing that needs to be watched out in Madhya Pradesh elections is that, like the last time, would the voting percentage be that small of a margin between the Congress and the BJP? Last time, it was less than 1%, and the smallest difference that we have seen in any assembly election across the country. That was the record. Let's flip to another state. The other state of Chhattisgarh, where you have Bhupesh Baghel, who wants to hold on to his stuff. He's also said to be somebody who, despite an anti-incumbency, is popular amongst the masses. Look at the numbers. Most of these polls give it to the Congress party. It is a close contest because these numbers are not too far away from each other. But in most of this, you can see that it's the Congress party which clearly has the lead. Axis My India giving about 40 to 50, the Chanakya poll giving 57, ETG about 56, and the C voter between 41 to 53. So as far as Chhattisgarh is concerned, the consolidation or the mean and the largest sentiment that you get from different exit polls is that Congress party is taking away this state. It's not like Madhya Pradesh, which was a cliffhanger. Even earlier, the experts had said that Chhattisgarh Congress party will retain this particular state. Let's move on. Let's talk about another interesting state, the state of Rajasthan, called the swing state, which means that if Congress is in power right now, it is very likely that the BJP will be the next government. Exit polls seem to agree, most of them. Barring a couple of them, if you look at the CNX and if you look at Access My India, they predict a very neck-to-neck fight between the BJP and the Congress. They say that there is a possibility, if you read these numbers, there is a possibility of a neck-to-neck fight and a possibility that Congress might come back to power, which will be a record in decades, something that we have not seen in Rajasthan politics in a long time. But there are polls which give a clear edge to the BJP as well. Look at the P-Mark, look at ETG. These are the numbers that tell you the story. Story is giving about 115 to 130 seats. So as far as Rajasthan is concerned, the largest sentiment seems to be the BJP is taking it. But according to some polls, it could be a neck-to-neck fight between the BJP and the Congress. That's the Hindi heartland we've spoken about. We need to talk about the state of Telangana. And ever since the formation of the state, it is the BRS and the present Chief Minister who has firmly held on to power. Now the argument is that the Congress party is making a comeback. They are riding on this wave of anti-incumbency and trying to make their grasp very, very strong in the rural parts of the state. Let's look at them one by one. If you look at the Congress party and the numbers that they are likely to get, today's Chanakya, CNX, both have given a very clear edge to the Congress party. Even here, it's a neck-to-neck fight, and the Jan Ki Baat between the BRS and the Congress party, clearly an edge to the Congress, 40 to 64, the margin is huge. Even here, 40 to 55, the margin is huge, but a clear edge to the Congress party. So, in none of the exit polls, you seem to be getting the sentiment that BRS will come back to power. The larger idea is that Congress is coming back here. So, the larger sum and substance of it that we get is that as far as states of Telangana and Chhattisgarh is concerned, the Congress party has a strong chance of forming the government. That's the story that exit polls are telling us. If you look at states like Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, that's where BJP seems to have the edge. And perhaps the last-minute campaigning has worked in favor of the Saffron party. The 2:2, the tie, the prediction or the equalizer before the 2024, will that be the pattern we'll see on the 3rd of December? We dissect the numbers, talk about various prospects and the predictions here on Plain Speak tonight.
महिला सशक्तिकरण का एक लंबा सफर है जिसने बहनों के हृदय में एक अलग स्थान भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लिए बनाया। ये उन्हीं को ढंग से नीचे पहुंचाने का परिणाम है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी फिर शानदार बहुमत प्राप्त करने जा रही है।
ಯಾರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ, ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಚುನಾವಣಾ ಏನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸಮೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ನನಗೆ ನನ್ನದೇ ಆದಂಥ ಅಭಿಪ್ರಾಯ ಇದೆ.
ಹಲೋ ಮೋಟೋ.
Will it be the equalizer before the 2024 or the 3rd of December will throw in a surprise? Well, we'll have to go by the exit poll numbers and make an informed assessment of what we can expect on the 3rd of December as the numbers start trickling in. Joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Tom Barakan, the national spokesperson of the BJP. We also have Mohammed Suleiman Khan, who is the spokesperson of the Congress party. We also have Savio Rodriguez with us on the broadcast, joining us on the broadcast. He's a journalist, a senior journalist and an author. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Mr. Barakan, coming to you first, specifically about the state of Chhattisgarh and Telangana. These are two states where the Congress party seems to have a clear edge. It seems like that there is no anti-incumbency, and in Chhattisgarh, talking about there specifically, the party will come back to power. The BJP had very strongly and actively campaigned the fact that internal security is something that the BJP had spoken about repeatedly, yet the Congress is most likely to form the government.
Well, that is the. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
Uh, Exit poll is something that is gives you some indication, and from the statistics that are available from on Chhattisgarh, very interesting statistics comes out in all your predictions. That is, the minimum number of seats that we are supposed to be getting is 40, and on an average in all the polls. This is one state we did not have much of reckoning. And if we are going to get 40 seats, where is Congress going to go? I'm analyzing the statistics. Look, your figures say 40 seats where we did not have anything, and here we are giving us 40 seats. Now, who's losing out? It's a clear indication that Chhattisgarh we are going to sweep. Now, I go by analysis of data given by you. I'm not going by my own data. Please examine the data. You will see them all giving us 40 plus seats. And where did this 40 seats come? In a state which needs 46 to win, you're giving us 40. Not you. I mean, all these.
I know what you're saying, sir, but these are also margins that the pollsters really put out. And to be fair, I mean, if you're talking about anti-incumbency against a sitting chief minister in a state like Chhattisgarh, then the sweep has to be far more stronger. Like it's been predicted in the state of Telangana. We also have Mr. Khalikur Rahman from the BRS joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, sir. I'll come to you in just a bit.
Good evening.
But Mr. Varakan, it seems like that in Chhattisgarh, at least, the Congress party holds very strong. In Telangana, there are strong chances that the party may form the government.
Which party will form the government, are you suggesting?
The exit polls predict at least in Telangana and Chhattisgarh, it's going to be the Congress party.
Well, interesting thing is the cutoff line is 60. And that's very thin ice, and you have to reach that 60. And if I was sitting somewhere predicting this, I would say 70 would be more comfortable, which I don't see the Congress gaining.
Okay.
So my assessment is Congress is definitely not forming government in Telangana. Now, who's forming government in Telangana? That I think some astrologers have to predict. But my reading is Congress is definitely not forming government in Telangana.
Congress is not forming government in Telangana. Mr. Khalikur Rahman, you'd be happy to hear that from Mr. Varakan. But the exit polls are saying strong anti-incumbency against your party, and the Congress party is the biggest beneficiary.
In fact, one thing is very clear that the Congress is not forming government in Telangana. This is a very correct statement by my co-panelist. And going by the exit polls, even in 2018, the exit polls were showing a clean sweep for the Congress party in Telangana. But you know what happened? We managed to get more than 90 seats, close to 100 seats. And today, the Congress, in fact, it's more of a hype, and the entire campaign has been overhyped. And exit polls don't really, give you the correct picture, because it's all based on the sampling. And the sampling size will be somewhere around 100 to 150, which does not represent, the cross-section of the society. So it is the ground reality what one has to look at. In this 9.5 years, we have performed exceedingly well on all fronts, be it industry, be it agriculture, and we have always worked for the inclusive growth and the development of the state of Telangana. The first and the foremost challenge before us when we took over Telangana state in 2014 to resolve the power crisis and the farmers' suicides, which we have been able to address very successfully. Today, in fact, the entire Telangana, we are providing the uninterrupted power supply to the industrial sector, to the domestic sector, to the agriculture sector. And we have been able to, control the suicides of the farmer because of our farmer-friendly policies. So these are the ground realities. And when it comes to the industry, our GDP, in fact, is the highest in the country today. And though we form only the 2.5% in terms of the population of the country, but we are contributing almost about 5% to the national GDP.
Okay,
so
let
we are
me
punching
let
double
me
our
let me
weight.
take that to the Congress party as well. I'm sure Mohammed Suleiman Khan will have lots to say on this. So Khan Sahab, when it comes to a party like BRS, which goes on to say, like Mr. Rahman has said, they have done a lot in the state, and the Congress party and their campaign is being overplayed. They will not form the government, they won't have the numbers, and there is no possibility of them having that number of seats, because there's a huge jump you'd have to take from what you performed last time compared to this time if you want to form the government. How confident are you, and what do you think will work for the party?
Anusha, one thing, it's very writ large and it's been proved on your channel as we start this. My friends from BJP and BRS, how they have connived together to defeat Congress, what we have been saying in the election. This is what Rahul
The same
Gandhi ji was
allegation
saying.
All
No,
right,
now listen to
we'll
that.
come to that. We'll come to that. I'll give both
Anusha, do you
gentlemen.
remember,
Ji, no,
everyone
please make your
remembers
point.
how
Yeah.
Rahul Gandhi ji has, the whole campaign has said that either you vote for the BJP or the BRS. It's all the same, because they are A or B team of each other. Nobody knows which one is A and which one is B. One thing is definitely clear, and it's very much reflected in the exit polls as well, that Congress is forming the government in Telangana. BJP is not a player there. They have no relevance in Telangana. BRS is going to lose badly, and Congress is going to give you a surprise. Rather, I will say that during the campaign, see the rallies, see the people coming, the enthusiasm, the motivation, the hope which this country and the state of Telangana and the other four have been given by our leader, Mr. Rahul Gandhi. It's not. It was not so hunky dory a year or so ago. It all started post September 2022, when Rahul Gandhi ji started the Bharat Jodo Yatra. And from there, people started to know him better. The propaganda, I'm sorry to say, the media houses, even the political class, the mainstream media has been, against him. He's one man who has fought this. We won Himachal, we won Karnataka, we are going to have 5 on 5 tomorrow. In Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Mizoram,
But
Chhattisgarh, all 5 we are going to get.
but when it comes to
those
Madhya
big
Pradesh,
pointers.
Mohammed Suleiman Khan, when it comes to
Anusha,
Madhya Pradesh, it was expected that it could be a sweep for the Congress party. You in your campaign, the Congress party in its campaign had repeatedly said that, look, there's so much corruption, there's anti-incumbency against the BJP. Look at the numbers that have emerged, and I'm sure the Congress party has heard the last-minute rumors that have emerged in the last few days, the last few hours, that BJP seems to have gotten a lead in the last leg of campaigning, and that has worked in their favor. And Madhya Pradesh, even last time, was a neck-to-neck fight. Each vote in every constituency mattered. The voting percentage difference was less than 1%. It was very close. It could be the same this time as well.
Anusha, now, elections are over. The EVMs are sealed. It's going to come after a day on 3rd of December. So I can just say, exit polls have their numbers different. There are contradictory numbers there. But most of the exit polls are showing Congress leading in all these 5 states. Some exit polls are also showing BJP leading in Madhya Pradesh or neck to neck in Rajasthan. But we are very hopeful. We have seen the campaign. We have given the policies, pro-people policies, welfare policies promised and delivered in states which we were ruling actually, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and Madhya Pradesh and Telangana and Mizoram. We have promised that we are going to deliver, and we have done this in the past. So we are hopeful that we are going to form the government. But very important point I want to make. Now, what we have seen 2 days ago, that in Balaghat district, postal ballots have been opened before the counting has actually begun. Manipulation of the EVMs, not the EVMs actually, the postal ballots have started. Nobody knows what's happening with the EVMs. We have complained to the Election Commission. So these exit polls with these manipulations going on under the watch of the Election Commission.
All I would say is that if there is a serious problem that has happened, raise it to the Election Commission. But I don't think we should not.
Postal ballots can be opened before the actual counting begin. What is left? That is what we have been
So
saying.
there's an official complaint. So
Democracy is under threat under BJP and
So
Modi.
that's the narrative
What
I
we
have a
been
huge
saying.
problem with. You know, the election commission in this country, whether it was under the Congress government or right now under
Oh
the
my
BJP.
God.
So
Anusha, this looks so silly when you say all this. We are not in power for 10 years.
Can I please
BJP
finish my
has been.
sentence? Will you give
And-
me the courtesy to
and
finish my
constitutional
sentence, sir?
institutions have not been
Sir, will you give me the courtesy to finish my sentence before
What has
calling my
been done in
argument
10
silly?
years?
Is that a
I
very
have seen with
gentleman-like
my own
argument
eyes,
to make?
Anusha, I have seen with my own eyes in district Rampur, my district UP,
Huh.
December of 5, 2020, police personnel and administration beating voters, not to allowing them to vote so that BJP win that by-election in the assembly, and they have won.
I'm
I am
waiting
the
for you
native
to let me finish my
eyewitness of that.
sentence. I'm
Election
waiting for you to
Commission
let
has
me
become
finish my
toothless
sentence. All right.
when BJP
So, Mr.
when
Khan, the
BJP
deal is
when
the argument
when
that I was
Election
making
Commission
was
become toothless.
that to
That is what we have been
hold elections in a country like India has been a complicated task, and it has been a tricky
So
task.
you are saying
Sir,
Election
why don't you
Commission
let
is
me finish and
incompetent?
make my argument? I take huge offense to this. You can't speak over me like that. I never
I'm not
speak over my
speaking.
guests. You are speaking over
Don't
me.
defend BJP.
I am
don't
not
defend
defending
Election
BJP.
Commission.
I'm talking about
What is
election
wrong is
commission.
wrong.
No,
If you become a spokesperson of the BJP or the
I
Election Commission,
refuse.
there's no
I
point.
refuse, and I will not allow you
what is
to
wrong.
jeopardize the debate like this.
spokesperson
Mr.
of
Savio
the
Rodriguez, why don't I
Election
come to you so that the tempers calm down a bit? If it's a 2:2, which is that the BJP takes 2 states and the Congress party is making a government in another 2 states, do you think it will be an equalizer of sorts? Because it was also anticipated that whichever party between the Congress and the BJP has the edge, that's the party perhaps that will build a momentum in favor of itself ahead of 2024. How do you see the exit poll numbers that have come in?
So I primarily look at the exit polls as a trailer to the actual picture that will come out on December 3rd. But sometimes the actual picture can be disappointing for some people. They might not like it. So that's really what exit polls are all about. But I must say this, and I must say this wholeheartedly. I think all political parties at this point of time, the BJP, the Congress, the TRS in Telangana, the campaigning mode was extremely, extremely aggressive.
Yeah.
It was assertive, and all political parties competed to win the elections. And therefore, in many of the states, you are seeing that the competition is almost neck and neck. In fact, Congress also picked up tremendously. As the Congress spokesperson was talking, they picked up tremendously. If you were to ask people about 6 months ago, a lot of them said that the Congress might not do too well. A lot of people were saying the same about the BJP, but the BJP picked up as well, which is why you see Madhya Pradesh faring fairly decently. And it could go either way, right? So what is the message? The message is that I think these 5 elections are warming up all political parties for Lok Sabha 2024. Because Lok Sabha 2024, BJP certainly has an edge as far as the center-based politics are concerned. And they have a very tall leader in Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is definitely going to try and aim to touch the 400 seat mark in the Lok Sabha election. So there's going to be extreme aggression from the other end. As far as the opposition party that have come under the Indie alliance, they will be looking at trying to beat Narendra Modi. But the challenge that they are going to be facing is trying to come together. So I feel that at the end that INDI alliance will have a break post the results of this election. And that
But why do you say that there would be a break post the elections? What are the key reasons you argue that case?
Okay, let me give you an example. Let's assume for a moment Congress does extremely well.
Okay.
If Congress does extremely well, the cadre in the Congress will gain the confidence that they do have a considerable voter base in key areas across different states in India. And therefore, instead of depending on everybody else, like let's say the Aam Aadmi Party, for example, Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress are almost eating each other's votes in areas where they're competing with each other. So it wouldn't make sense for Congress to compete with AAP at that point of time and be a part of the India alliance. So BJP on the other hand will say, okay, what is the result? If we've got a very positive result, then they will continue to go all hog for the 400
I get your
plus
point. I get your point.
seats
That if the Congress party
But if
gets
they
some
go
kind of
to
lead,
West-
each party would want to assert. 2 points interesting that have been raised in the debate, and I want to focus the next 10 minutes on it. One is what will happen to the opposition alliance, presuming that the Congress party performs well in 2 states at the very least, as what the exit polls have predicted. The Congress party says it's going to do well in all the 5 states. We'll know on Sunday what exactly happens. The second is the kind of narrative we just heard from Mr. Khan, which is about, look, there are huge problems in polling. Look, Election Commission is not doing its job. I'm not saying that any institution, any democratic institution in this country is without its flaws. There shouldn't be complaints or we shouldn't criticize it. I think that's what forms the fulcrum of democracy in our country, Savio. But it seems like that each time before the results are about to come, there is a narrative which is being built up that, look, everything is so wrong and Election Commission is compromised. EC is not compromised when Congress party swept Karnataka because the voters voted in favor of the Congress party. But it suddenly becomes compromised each time the party ruling at the center is forming the government. How faulty is this narrative in your understanding? Savio.
I think it's honestly, I think it's a complete insult to the administrative unit of the EC. Now, the EC is a body that functions on its own right and it has its own merit. Now, let's assume, as you rightly pointed out, Congress did extremely well in Karnataka. Their strategy worked out. The ability to bring the minorities together and consolidate their voter base worked in the benefit of the Congress, and therefore they won. Did you find any of the Congress leaders or any of the opposition leaders at that point of time raising objections to the EVMs? The answer is no. So the objections to the EVM only happen when the BJP wins the election. So the narrative is not going to work in the long run. You see, Congress should learn from Karnataka because they did something right in Karnataka.
Exactly,
They
Mr.
could have well
Mr.
do
Khan.
something
So
right
the election
in other
commission,
parts of the state
the
as
election
well.
commission was not compromised in Karnataka, but it seems to be compromised somewhere else. I mean, I want to understand that because each time an argument is made, either the anchor is somebody's spokesperson or they are compromised, but you don't want to deal with the argument on the merit, and I would appreciate if you deal with the argument on merit, sir.
No, I'll deal with the argument on the merits.
Sure.
First of all, tell me who are the election commissioner, who appoints them. We have been saying that the election commissioner should be independent. Supreme Court said it. Now they are bringing, why BJP is so uncomfortable if the election commission is independent and the chief election commissioner and the state election commissioners are being appointed by an independent body, which is unbiased. Why the prime minister and the leader of the house and the CJI are in the committee with the new law? Supreme Court has said it should be independent. Why so much of discomfort? So that is the reason we say this. As far as Karnataka result or Himachal result, where we have won.
Sir, can I ask you one question? Sir, can I ask you one question? Okay, finish your point. Finish your point.
Let me reply.
Yes,
I'm
finish
just
your
replying
point.
to the first question.
Yeah. Finish your
Where we win. No, whenever we have raised this issue, like Balaghat, it's clear. It's on all the mobile phones, on social media. We have complained. Should we say everything was very good? It's fair. We should say that there's some
good that you said that.
going on.
Good that you complained. It's the right thing to do.
Am I wrong?
No, I'm saying
No,
it's
see,
the right thing to do, but then to make a broad brush generalization that election commission is compromised is another thing. Now, before I go to Mr. Tom Varakan and Mr. Khalikur Rahman, no, sir, one question.
I am alone.
Mr. Khan, one question.
Let me complete.
What was the procedure of appointment of the election commissioner before the Supreme Court judgment?
I am alone.
Before the Supreme Court. No, there is nobody against you, sir. There's nobody against you.
I'm just saying
Make your
one
point.
thing.
No. See, we are all independent. No one is
Exactly,
supporting anyone here. Exactly. So let us maintain that decorum.
Yeah.
That if I have seen with my own eyes on 5th of December 22,
I think you've made your point, sir. We have to move on. Mr. Khalikur Rahman, coming to you. Do you vouch for this narrative? I'm not saying that there cannot be individual instances which should be reported to the authorities and to the Election Commission if there are serious violations that have happened. There can be individual instances. This is, after all, the world's largest democracy and a complex process of voting which is followed with different methods being used depending on the size of the constituencies, postal ballots which Mr. Khan was talking about. But to have this broad argument that, look, EC is compromised. We hear it every election. It has almost become a grown norm.
No, I don't buy that statement.
Yeah.
The reason is wherever it is convenient to them, the EC is in favor of them. It is not like that. See, the EC is functioning, as per the system, as per the guidelines which have been laid down. But there are definitely instances where there would be some cases which the candidates or the parties may not like it, or there could be some cases of taking sides as the partisan. But more or less, I would say this time we have had a very fair election. So I don't really want to blame the election commission, or as a matter of fact, their functioning. So, but we have to understand one thing very clearly before we blame someone. We have to first, look at ourselves, how we have, fought our election, whether we have followed the right kind of, the policies. And this election has been, especially because, for example, I'm talking about Telangana.
Yeah.
Telangana, the Congress, in fact, has, used their IT cell and tried to, negate the entire campaign. Which
Well, sir,
I think,
I believe it's elections at the end of the day. Sam, Dam, Dandabhed, they would use everything to campaign for the party, and each political party should be open to do that. But Mr. Tom Varakan, the argument, against election commission by the opposition camp, not the first time. We have heard it multiple times. I remember, and I remember this huge debate in this country about the EVMs. At one point, it was very fashionable to blame it on the EVMs. I believe that's a thing of the past now. Mr. Varakan.
Well, what do I say? Exit poll, and when they see the trend is bad and they get the report that the situation at the ground is bad, they blame the EVM. Standard operating practice. I think Mr. Khan is the opening batsman for the Congress party to have all come on record that the EVM is to be blamed. When they win in Karnataka, it is Rahul Gandhi, whose power and, people have come out and voted. When they win Himachal, well, again it's Rahul Gandhi. But when Rahul Gandhi loses, it's the poor EVM which has no defense. And Mr. Khan, the opening batsman for the Congress, has started already blaming the EVMs. I want to bring something to your notice on the malpractices of this great Congress party. Youth Congress in Kerala elections duplicated the electoral identity card, of the state, and the government of Kerala has taken action.
Yeah.
But my suspicion and my party's suspicion is that it has gone beyond Kerala.
Okay.
They have used it in Karnataka. Now, EVM is one issue which they have been harping on whenever they lose. And what do they say about this voter identity card being replicated and misused during the Youth Congress elections? And they are on record. The state government has taken action against them.
Well, your argument...
Everyone is speaking on me.
No, Mr. Khan, as I close the debate, I have to give Mr. Khan at least a minute. Mr. Khan,
you have not allowed me to put it on EVM and election debate. I was saying something else. Either you should allow me...
Sir, I have last 1 minute on the show. Please go ahead and make your argument, Mr. Khan. Please go ahead and make your argument.
First of all, I have given an instance of Balaghat. I have not said about EVM. I have said about the postal ballots. One. Second, in Rampur, election commission was toothless. It was toothless on 5th of December. I'll keep on saying it was compromised. I'll again say it was compromised. Otherwise, generally, it's not about voting day, EVMs, postal ballots. It's during election also. Sending notices, other agencies. So I am not generally saying, but election commission, whenever we say that election commission has become toothless or it is not acting, generally we want to say, winning election in Karnataka and Himachal, we have a resounding wave there. You can do manipulation when there is a neck-to-neck fight. We have seen how in Gujarat...
I hope I have given you your due opportunity to respond. You have made your points that you wanted to make, sir.
A lot of exit polls are saying...
I take those points. I appreciate you joining us on the broadcast. That's all the time I have. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the show. All eyes on the counting day on Sunday. That's when we'll know what the electorate, what Janta Janardhan has decided, and that will be the fate of all the political parties. And that's the beauty of the world's largest democracy. We are slipping into a very short break. Coming up on the other side, can India do without freebies? You have leading voices like Mr. Narayan Murthy speaking against it. We'll talk about that issue on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
And the other part
it
is
changes
that there
things
is
nationally.
There will be a shift. We've got numbers from Telangana for and these are Chanakya numbers. Let's look at the Chanakya numbers as pass aaye to aapko number dikha dein. So it's a multi-party contest and a multifaceted contest. Telangana numbers, everybody would be keen to make inroads. Somewhere one gets the sense that the AIM is not gaining ground, it's actually losing ground. So let's quickly look at the numbers. 7 for the BJP, 1 others. AIMIM actually may not win much, and today's Chanakya is very clearly saying at this point that the mandate is going to the Congress party handsomely. 71 seats. That's a runaway win. That's a rout of the BRS, and that's the end of the third front.
That's the end of the third front.
At least BRS was trying to mount. They changed their name from BRS to BRS because of the national ambition.
And that opens that election in the Lok Sabha. I think that this is very consequential at the national level.
GVL, you want to weigh in on this?
Yes.
If there is caste,
what was the main thesis that the BJP unfurled in Rajasthan, that the women are not safe?
Women are not safe.
Yeah.
So law and order. See,
women.
but then what you're trying to say is that this entire caste game doesn't stand, because if you're looking at caste, then you can't look at caste only from a male prism.
I'll still go with what
women.
Raghav was saying
Women
on
will
that
also.
point.
Don't women identify with caste then?
They do.
You're trying to say if they do identify with caste, then let's not say women voters are voting separately.
Exactly.
No, either they are voting as part of
That's
their
a good
caste, or they are rising above the caste and looking at the factor on ground.
More and more women want to enter the workforce.
We got a number on CNX number. We've got
more women are wanting to
Rajasthan
enter the workforce. If they have to,
GVL is there as a quasi-cephalogist.
Yes,
exactly. Quasi-cephalogist. Now no longer into cephalogy, but we will ask GVL on this aspect also, that is this entire caste census thing, is it now a bogey? And should it be looked at only from a male prism? That's another question. But let's look at the CNX number. What is CNX giving as the numbers? Let's go closely. And they are saying CNX 100 is the par number, and CNX is saying that Congress should get 104 seats in Rajasthan. This is the CNX Rajasthan number. And BJP will fall short. 80 to 90 seats for the BJP is what CNX is saying. So these are the latest Rajasthan numbers, and that's why we see the Congress poll number on the edge of your screens bumped up to 80, and the BJP slipping down to 107 from 109. Let's look at the next one. We got one more number coming in on Rajasthan, and this is the Matriz number. The Matriz number says Congress is at 75 and the BJP comfortably way past the 100 number, and it will actually sweep this election in Rajasthan, get up to 130 seats. So if they move past the 100 number, the BJP sweeps the election. That's the call, and that's where some of the analysts and the BJP supporters are saying hum 130 par. We heard the LOP of Rajasthan, Mr. Rathore, also say we will be 130. So let's go across to GVL Narasimha Rao and ask him to weigh in on two aspects. GVL, two aspects. One is this entire caste king. Is it a bogey? If you look at the exit pollsters and the way they have voted, it's against the incumbent. That's what it looks like. Or is for the incumbent. Where is there a caste factor there? Secondly, will you look at it from a male-female prism? Does caste not apply to women at all? And the third part, right now, the outliers are saying this way or the other, but so far you seem to be going and getting a clear mandate in Madhya Pradesh and in Rajasthan. What does that imply for Lok Sabha 2024? Three questions.
Yeah, Anand, you see, certainly the caste voting in any given state is more pronounced among men compared to women. Women tend to vote more on performance, more on governance, and less so among men. I think this will be a big gap. If 30%, if 60% men vote caste, the number would be significantly less in the case of women. It's not to say that women don't consider caste as a phenomenon, but the intensity is much lower. Number one. Number two, caste is a factor not in these states alone. Caste is a factor in every state. Be it Tamil Nadu, be it Karnataka, be it Kerala. Kerala is a state which is highly literate. But caste is a factor there also. But caste results in long-term political preferences for political parties. So if you see one particular caste is more inclined towards LDF, another is more inclined towards UDF, and that does not change drastically from election to election.
Right.
The vote swings are very limited. Whereas in some states, they will vote based on the caste of a candidate. I will put Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
They are not heavily voting on the basis of caste, and certainly performance, governance are important factors in these states.
Right. Right.
And as regards impact on the Lok Sabha elections.
Yeah, well, I'll come to that. Just hold your thoughts, sir. I've got Arun Sahu of BJP MP from Chhattisgarh is also right now at this with us. Arun ji, namaste. Chhattisgarh में बाघेल जी वापस आ रहे हैं, लग रहा है कांग्रेस आ रही है वापस. बीजेपी को थोड़ा गेन मिला है, लेकिन बीजेपी पीछे है.
बिल्कुल नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. छत्तीसगढ़ के गांव-गांव, गली-गली में नारा गूंजा है और नहीं सहिबो, बदल के रहिबो. छत्तीसगढ़ में भाजपा आवा थे, ये नारा पूरे छत्तीसगढ़ में गूंजा है. और देखिएगा जब 3 दिसंबर को मतगणना होगी तो आप
Good evening, welcome back. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Anusha Soni. Infosys co-founder Mr. Narayan Murthy has stoked a fresh debate. He has called for an end to freebie politics in the country, calling for a different approach to the freebies. Mr. Murthy said that nothing should be given for free. People availing the government services and subsidies should be made to contribute back for the betterment of the society. He also advocated for capitalism, calling it the only solution for developing nations to become prosperous. Of course, these comments have evoked a lot of reaction. Mr. Murthy's comments come at a time when the issue of freebies is being widely debated across political spectrum in top institutions of the country. After presenting his idea, Mr. Murthy made it absolutely clear that he was not against free services being provided and stressed the importance of these subsidies for the poor and the underprivileged. Mr. Murthy added that he was not against these services because he himself came from a underprivileged background once upon a time, but those getting free services must give back something. He reiterated that. But the key question remains is, how does one draw the line that this is welfare policies and this is freebie? It seems like that from north to the south, across the country, there is a wave of freebie politics, and it seems to find resonance with the voters. Whether it's the poll-bound states of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Telangana, or any other state, or the state of Karnataka, the recent example, freebies have been the deal breaker for political parties. Let me remind you what the Supreme Court said. The top court observed that there is a need to constitute a body to monitor freebie culture. There was a litigation in the Supreme Court and it was questioned that can the Supreme Court ban it? The court said it's a matter of policy. We can't do anything. But the Reserve Bank of India flagged concerns about the rising debt of the states. This is in 2022, right after COVID, when fiscal management was a key concern for the country and for the state governments. Can India do without freebie politics? Before we take that question to our guests and our leading panelists, let's look at what Mr. Murthy said, the key observations by the Supreme Court, and how the RBI has raised a lot of concerns. And one more example is of the state of Karnataka, where the freebie culture has not worked. Let's have a look at them one by one. First, the arguments of Mr. Narayan Murthy, which have generated a lot of concern and reactions. Those getting subsidies must contribute to the society. Nothing should be given for free. He also argues, and he goes on to say, that this particular thing about doling out welfare schemes or giving things to underprivileged is not something which he is against, but yes, there has to be a certain degree of accountability of the citizens as well, and along with fundamental rights, there are fundamental duties as well. Those availing the government subsidies must contribute back to the society. This is something that he has asserted. He also goes on to say there is a need to maintain some kind of checks and balances. He went on to talk about capitalism and how that's the only concept that can be beneficial for a country like India. He also had spoken about extended working hours just a few weeks ago that had evoked a lot of reactions and debate across the country. But the freebie debate, the Supreme Court back in 2022 said that there is a need to constitute a body to monitor the freebie culture. The top court said that there should be an apex body which should monitor all of this. These were suggestions that had come in. There was a special report by the Reserve Bank of India that did an audit of multiple state governments and argued that the GSDP, the various financial index or financial parameters on which a state performs, is something which is worrisome. There were certain states whose financial health was talked about, including the state of Rajasthan, Punjab, Kerala and West Bengal. For example, the state of Punjab, the debt to GSDP ratio exceeds 45%. GSDP is the equivalent of GDP at the state level. RBI also said that states like Rajasthan, Kerala, West Bengal have higher than national outstanding liabilities at 32%, and they need to take all of that into cognizance, otherwise in the times to come this could get worse. What is it that we have learned from the past, especially the state of Karnataka? Here, the government is on record to argue that because we have promised schemes like Griha Jyoti, which was launched on the 5th of August, about 7.48 million consumers got zero bills in August. All these schemes are a burden on the exchequer. And if these schemes are to be rolled out somewhere or the other, the development agenda of the government is going to suffer. That means, would you have money to build roads, corridors, to build infrastructure, to create jobs? Would you have the money to create the right kind of ecosystem for your country to grow, for your state to grow? The Anna Bhagya scheme, yet another scheme where cash was given in lieu of the additional 5 kg of rice at about rupees 34 per kg. The Shakti scheme, which is in operation since the June of 11th, more than 95 crore trips undertaken by women. Once again, the number of buses had to be increased. The state government was not ready for it. The Yuva Nidhi scheme of 2022-23, the financial year up to 24 months, possible rollout in December, Jan 24. This is still something which is to happen. But the state government in Karnataka was on record to say that because we have promised these schemes, there is a lot we are not able to do on the development agenda. The funds are under a lot of stress. Where is it that we can draw the line and the intricate balance? This freebie debate, can India do without this politics of freebies? Can we have a welfare state which is financially prudent and responsible? Our focus on Plain Speak.
Legally and ethically, a fair and transparent regulation. Nothing should be given free, but there should be a contribution of the citizen also towards making our society a better society.
Ultimately, government has to stand up. They should help the farmers. They should help because people have been hit with a lot of price rise.
While I am not against free services being provided, expect something in return from those people who receive those free subsidies to take a slightly bigger responsibility towards making their future generation better.
Freebies is not a problem, but what is that the society is giving back in terms of receiving something from the government is an absolutely right and a valid point at this point of time.
Well, let me take this question to our guest as well. We have Major General Anil Verma, who's the head of the ADR, joining us, Professor Santosh Mehrotra, who's a leading economist. We also have Mr. Khalikur Rahman from the BRS, Mr. Shiv Khera, who's a noted author, Mr. Tom Varakan of the BJP. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the broadcast tonight. Mr. Khera, sir, I'll come to you first. Your thoughts on what Mr. Narayan Murthy has said?
I couldn't agree more what Mr. Narayan Murthy said. I think perfect. He is on dot. And he has clarified his statement very well that nothing should be given for free. One clear example is anything given for free is never appreciated. There must be a little trade-off. He talked of fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Let me share with you a case in point.
Yeah.
Venezuela that is a country with one of the highest oil reserves in the world. And by giving politicians giving free by one, that country has gone bankrupt. And today they have inflation in excess of 1,000% every year. People are running away, and it is creating problem, and crime has gone up to that extent. That's one. Number two, the Textile Association of India is a client of mine, and Coimbatore textile industry is closing. Many of those people have closed. I said, why is that? They're carrying their factories to Vietnam or Turkey. They said, we can't find people to work. I said, why can't you find people to work? There is so much of unemployment. He said, because when Jayalalitha was the chief minister, and for her own election purposes, you see, she gave freebies to these people, 5 kilo, 10 kilo, 5 kilo, 10 kilo subsidies, all that. And he says, people's pockets are full, their stomachs are full, they don't want to work. And he said, a country with so much of unemployment, we can't find people to work.
Okay.
This is the scenario which we are facing right now. These politicians, for their personal power, they will sell their mother for money, they will sell anything, and they will ruin the country all the way. And that is sad.
Professor Mehrotra, I want to take that argument forward of what Mr. Khera said. Mr. Khera is pointing out to a wrong culture being created in a developing country like India. And I'm somebody who believes that food security and basic security of the right kind of educational facilities should be given to every citizen of the country. But that being said, I believe in politics that line has long been crossed as to what is welfare versus what is a freebie. Professor Mehrotra.
Correct.
Professor Mehrotra.
I'm afraid that this line began to be crossed around 2018-19 when it was decided that PM Kisan will be given. Why did the government of India decide to give PM Kisan? It decided to give it because incomes in the agricultural sector had not been rising. Why were incomes in the agricultural sector not been rising? Because jobs in the non-farm sector were not growing, so people were not coming out of agriculture any longer. This government has created an economic situation where 60 million people have gone back to agriculture and work is not being generated. Did the previous government have to generate a freebie culture? No. Why? Because the economy was growing at 8% per annum and non-farm jobs were being created at the rate of 7.5 million new non-farm jobs per annum.
Okay.
And as far as Venezuela is concerned, who is saying Venezuela is a star performer? No one has said that. And that's not the way to go, obviously. And as far, let's not compare apples and oranges. Inflation in India is being caused by excessively high fuel costs. And fuel costs, as far as international oil prices are concerned, they are well below what they used to be between 2004 and 15. As far as Coimbatore's units closing, let's just remember that Coimbatore's units have been closing ever since the demonetization. And it's not just Coimbatore's units which have been closing. Across the whole country, MSMEs have been closing. Across the whole country, therefore non-farm jobs are not being created. And the result has been that on account of very poor economic policy in the last 7-8 years in particular, 60 million people have gone back to agriculture. This is the opposite of what was happening for 15 years.
Precisely. And
so people do not know the fact, and it's highly unacceptable.
So, sir, your argument largely takes us to a point where you're making us understand that the freebie culture is actually giving boost to unemployment in the country.
No. It's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
The government is having to give out all kinds of freebies because
That's exactly
there is growing unemployment. No, so you misunderstood completely.
No, sir.
The
No, sir. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you have a population which is discouraged to work, or finds no incentive in working.
No, that's absurd. Who's being discouraged to work? I mean, look, the jobs are not growing. This is utter rubbish that people are being discouraged from working. I mean, if there were jobs, the demand for Manrega wouldn't be at an all-time high. It's at a 16, 17
I don't know.
high.
I don't know if you heard Mr. Khera before.
I heard him extremely well.
Sir,
he got all his facts wrong.
I take that point, sir. With due respect, I take all your points. Let me take those points to Major General Anil Verma as well. Major General Verma, there are two sides of the arguments that we have heard from two very learned gentlemen. Mr. Khera points out that we need to have a culture where people are given encouragement to work. And on the other side, Professor Mehrotra makes a very strong argument that you're not generating jobs enough. And that is why people have to go back to the agricultural jobs. It's not a matter of sentiment. In fact, a matter of opportunity, and governments are not able to create the right kind of jobs, and that is why they have to dole out these freebies.
See, I am not an economist. I am the head of ADR, Association for Democratic Reforms. But my take on this is that, firstly, the freebies have to be clearly defined. There seems to be a bit of a confusion between what is a welfare scheme and what are freebies.
Sure.
Freebies are the doles which are handed out just before the elections. That can be anything from liquor, cash, drugs and jewelry or TV sets and all which is going on. And as you are aware, in that famous Balaji versus State of Tamil Nadu case of 2013, which went on to Supreme Court and all, the Supreme Court said it is not a corrupt practice.
Yeah.
That is one part. Second, but it said that the election commission should lay down some guidelines and all that. But the political parties do not follow those guidelines.
Sure.
The election commission has very clearly said that in their manifesto, they should reflect the rationale of the, promises which they are and indicate means as to how are they going to come up with the finances.
I'm very sorry, sir. I have to interrupt you there. There's an important address happening by the Prime Minister, cutting across to that.
Your Highness, Excellencies, इस स्पेशल इवेंट में आप सबका हार्दिक स्वागत है। मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप लोग बैठे तो अच्छा रहेगा। पीछे लोग जो हैं उनको आपकी सेल्फी बाद में हो जाएगी। मेरे ब्रदर और यूएई के राष्ट्रपति हिज हाइनेस शेख मोहम्मद बिन जायद के समर्थन के लिए मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। इतनी व्यस्तता के बीच भी उनका यहां आना, हमारे साथ कुछ पल बिताना और उनका समर्थन मिलना, ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी बात है। यूएई के साथ इस इवेंट को को-होस्ट करते हुए मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है। मैं स्वीडन के प्रधानमंत्री उल्फ क्रिस्टरसन का इस इनिशिएटिव से जुड़ने के लिए भी आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। फ्रेंड्स, मैंने हमेशा महसूस किया है कि कार्बन क्रेडिट का दायरा बहुत ही सीमित है और ये फिलॉसफी एक प्रकार से कॉमर्शियल एलिमेंट से प्रभावित है। मैंने कार्बन क्रेडिट की व्यवस्था में एक सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी का जो भाव होना चाहिए उसका बहुत अभाव देखा है। हमें होलिस्टिक तरीके से नई फिलॉसफी पर बल देना होगा और यही ग्रीन क्रेडिट का आधार है। मानव जीवन में आमतौर पर 3 प्रकार के चीजों का हम अनुभव करते हैं। हमारे स्वाभाविक जीवन में भी जो लोगों को हम देखते हैं तो 3 चीजें हमारे नेचर सामने आती हैं। एक प्रकृति यानी टेंडेंसी, दूसरी विकृति और तीसरी संस्कृति। एक प्रकृति है, एक नेचुरल टेंडेंसी है जो कहती है कि मैं पर्यावरण का नुकसान नहीं करूंगा। ये उसकी टेंडेंसी है। एक विकृति है, एक डिस्ट्रक्टिव माइंडसेट है जिसकी ये सोच होती है कि दुनिया का कुछ भी हो जाए, भावी पीढ़ी का कुछ भी हो जाए, कितना ही नुकसान हो जाए, मेरा फायदा हो। यानी एक विकृत मानसिकता है। और एक संस्कृति है, एक कल्चर है, संस्कार है जो पर्यावरण की समृद्धि में अपनी समृद्धि देखता है। उसको लगता है कि मैं पृथ्वी का भला करूंगा तो मेरा भी भला होगा। हम विकृति को त्याग कर पर्यावरण की समृद्धि में अपनी समृद्धि की संस्कृति विकसित करेंगे, तभी प्रकृति यानी पर्यावरण की रक्षा हो पाएगी। जिस तरह हम अपने जीवन में हेल्थ के कार्ड को अहमियत देते हैं कि भाई आपका हेल्थ कार्ड क्या है, आपका हेल्थ रिपोर्ट क्या है, रेगुलर उसको हम देखते हैं, हम कॉन्शियस है, ये कोशिश करते हैं कि उसमें पॉजिटिव पॉइंट जुड़े हैं। वैसे ही हम पर्यावरण के